What's up, everybody? My name is Daquan Payton, otherwise known as Giggle Bowser, and this right here is my main man, my acquaintance, the other half of the dynamic duo, Mr. Joey Sills, otherwise known as Ganondorf.
What's up, everybody?
And this is Game On, powered up by
Level Up Incorporated.
Now, if most of you are probably wondering why Ganondorf here sounds like he's been gargling on thumbtacks,
Or why you look like Medea goes to church.
just know that most of those questions will be answered, not in this episode, but in the next one, so stay tuned, guys.
No, they won't.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay, so here's the idea for this week's video. Rather than us talk about a video game that just came out, just dropped and everything, and there's a lot to choose from we could do, but we decided since it's the week before Thanksgiving, and we probably won't be able to do a joint video of us next week, which we'll talk about that later. We decided to go ahead and do our first ever top 5 video.
Dun, 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 dun.
Hey, cue the balloons and the confetti. Where is it? We gotta fire our props guy.
They cut funding again.
Yeah, we gotta fire him. But anyway, so here's how we're gonna do it. Rather than us doing a joint top 5 of here's the games we love together, or doing his top 5 and then my top 5 later on, or vice versa, we're gonna do it this way. At number 5, one of us is gonna talk about what we've got to say about our number 5, and then when he gets through, the other one's gonna say what they've got to say. And we're going to do it that way.
So, get ready, guys.
Alright. Now, that being said, all BS aside, let's start this review. Allons-y.
Alright, guys. My first game, I'm going to go a bit old school here. Going to go pretty much late 90s with you guys. The first game on my list would be Spider-Man for the Nintendo 64. Now, the reason that I choose this game is because when I first got a Nintendo 64 as a young boy, the first game that I got was Spider-Man. And I love this game for a number of reasons, mainly because it's not a bad Spider-Man game, which there have been a lot of those in the past couple of years. What this game meant to me was a lot, not only because it was my first game, but because it was a great game. From the villains you fight to the gameplay to the story, it was wonderful. You got to fight guys like Venom, Carnage, Dr. Octopus, the Scorpion, the Rhino. You even got to meet some of Spider-Man's allies like Black Cat. I think you got to save Jonah Jameson a lot, which means Spider-Man has to do a lot anyways. But can't forget about those Stan Lee intros, man. You gotta love Stan Lee. He is a pivotal part of any Marvel game, especially Spider-Man. And I mean, if you want a good vintage Spider-Man game, this was the game for you. This game meant a lot to me for that because I grew up a big Marvel Comics fan. And this game hit it off to me more than anything else. And that's why this is basically the first game on my list. What about you?
Well, my number 5 is going to be a little different from yours. I'm going to do a PlayStation 2.
Ooh.
My number 5 has a backstory to it. I used to be a tremendous wrestling fan growing up, and I remember playing all the games. I mean, I was 13, 14. I was watching wrestling every week. And then I got my first ever wrestling game when I was like 14, maybe, and just grew the collection from there. And my favorite game, though, as far as wrestling games, I'd have to give it to WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. And the reason why I say that above all the others is because the story mode. In the other games, such as the games that came before it, Just Bring It, what was it? Oh, Shut Your Mouth. And then the games that followed it being the SmackDown vs. Raw series, which spanned from 2005 to 2010-ish, 2010, 2011.
Yeah, SmackDown vs. Raw 2011.
Yeah, SmackDown, yeah, but it was released in 2010, so that's why I counted that. But it allowed you in the story mode to do so much more. I mean, it didn't just end at WrestleMania. You were able to pick the story back up after it happened. Like a lot of the games stopped at WrestleMania, letting it be, the grand finale. But no, you were able to go farther. and farther into your career, into the superstar of your choosing. And the people you got to choose from: Goldberg, Kevin Nash, Brock Lesnar, Shawn Michaels, my personal favorite, Eddie Guerrero. I mean, it was a who's who of wrestling, and it was a game. It's a game like none other, and it's a game that hasn't been kind of game that hasn't been seen since, and that's probably why it made my top 5 list.
That's actually very good.
Yeah. Now on to number 4, and I think I'm going to take this one.
Okay, go on.
My number 4 would probably be, and a lot of people haven't heard of this game, and it kind of depresses me a little bit because it was such a big game of my childhood. Like I said, when I was 8 years old, I'm a quintessential 90s kid. I was born in 1990. I remember most of it. And the big thing I remember is the Nintendo 64 drop. And I remember bugging my parents about the Nintendo 64. I wanted one so bad. And I finally got one. And I borrowed this game from my cousin, who was a female gamer. And at the time, those were kind of, you really didn't see those out in public. I mean, it was kind of like Sasquatch. You thought they existed, but you weren't sure. And but she let me borrow this game, and I fell in love with it. For the Nintendo 64, Mischief Makers, and the game focuses on a female robot, or fembot, if you will, named Marina. She and her professor are on a voyage to the planet Clancer, which is in some faraway galaxy. Don't ask me where it's at. I don't know. Don't care. Never explained. But the professor gets kidnapped, and it's basically your job as Marina to save the man who created you. And you've come across a lot of villains. A lot of characters in it. The planet Clancer is inhabited by a species that kind of resembles the Scream Mask, and it's a really silly game. It's a really silly game, but it's one that holds a spot in my heart. And if you haven't played it, if you've never heard of it, look it up. It may not have the soft spot. You may not have the soft spot for it that I do, but it's because I was raised with it. It was a game I'll take with me for the rest of my life. And that being said, on to you. Your number 4.
Okay, my number 4 actually would be Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door for the Nintendo GameCube.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I know it's kind of iffy with GameCube, but I mean, I just had to go there.
Okay. I can understand that.
This game meant a lot to me because, for one, it brought Mario into a whole new light. For any of you who played the original Paper Mario, you probably know, Mario's basically he's basically a character in a storybook, can change into different paper shapes and forms in order to complete his goals and objectives. Take that and put it into an RPG. That's what you get when you play Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. And, I mean, it was really big for me because they did a wonderful job with it. Because an RPG, no matter what characters you put into it, is always going to be iffy. But they did a wonderful job with it, because not only do they, give Mario special abilities like the super jump and things like the, is that it right there? That's it right there, actually. Yeah, man. I mean, this game here, awesome. You get abilities like the super jump, hammer strikes. You get great allies. You get Koopas, Goombas, Bob-Bombs as allies. If any of you have played later Mario games where you actually see Bob-Bombs. I mean, the game itself is good, and if you love stories, I mean, it's not just him going in to save the princess anymore. It gets a lot deeper than that, and it is a great game. It is a really great game. That meant a lot to me. And now to get into my number 3 game, actually, I'm going to have to go Rockstar here. Rockstar, and many of you know, they're known for pushing the envelope. They've made a lot of games that have gotten a lot of attention in the media, not for a lot of good reasons. But one game that I actually like from them because of the story, not just because of the free roaming aspect that you would get with Grand Theft Auto, I love Red Dead Redemption. If any of you have played the previous game, Red Dead Revolver, you know that the Red Dead series is a series about. It's a series about hardships and overcoming that. And Red Dead Redemption is like no other. You play as a former outlaw whose family has been taken, and in there's a threat that his family will be murdered unless he brings his old running buddies to justice. And to see how your character's life has changed from that point to now, and seeing how he deals with that, it gives you a whole new sense of perspective. It's not just the whole sense of, oh, I'm a guy who can do whatever I want, I'm just going to go do that. It ties you to that character emotionally more than anything else. And if you play this game, you'll understand what I mean when I say that, because this game is a great game. It is a wonderful game. And honestly, it's really historically accurate for the time that it's placed in, which is really big. I mean, only other game that I can say that would even give that a run for its money would be the Assassin's Creed franchise. And I mean, that's really big coming from Rockstar, because it showed to me that whenever Rockstar wants to really make a game that can be serious, that can bring tears to your eyes, honestly, they can do it, and they did it with this game here, and I love it. So anyways, Ganondorf, what about you? What's your number 3?
My number 3 is well, this one. A lot of people, and here recently, there was another game in the franchise released to it, and I say recently, it was a few months, it was 2 or 3 months ago. Like I said, I grew up in the 90s, and I remember when the Pokemon boom came out.
Oh, yes.
And everyone and their mama was playing these games, and my grandmother got me this as a Christmas present, and I remember playing it on my Game Boy Pocket. It was, and there were several games in this. In this one, you had the original games, the blue and the red. Well, the original American games. You've also got the green version that was pretty much the first Pokemon game released in Japan. And yes, I have played that game, and it's pretty cool. But I'm gonna have to give my number 3 spot to blue version, and the reason I give it to blue version, it was the one I had. It was the one that my grandmother gave me, and it, of course, a lot of people know the thing behind the Pokemon series. You know, your big objective is to catch all the Pokemon, beat all the bad guys, and save all the world. And I mean, looking back at it now, it was one of those games you can never repeat the feeling you got from first playing that game. You can try, you can play. I mean, when you pick up your first Pokemon game, it's almost like a journey. It's kind of like, and I hate to say this, but it's kind of like an 8-bit Skyrim. For those of you who've played Skyrim or any of the other Elder Scrolls games, you start out on your journey, and from there you can take it wherever you want. And I love that about it. And when you first played that game, you never really knew where it was going to take you. It was starting out fresh. It was starting out on a brand new adventure, and I love Pokemon, the blue version. The future generations kind of got silly toward the end, and I kind of faded out of it. But for me, I've still got my copy of Pokemon Blue, and I still play it, and it still works. So it's kind of cool for me. So Pokemon Blue may not be the most noted game in the series, but it's my favorite. Now, my number 2, I'm gonna have to call cheating on this one a little bit.
Oh, really, man? You're gonna do that to us?
And I had to, because when I was making my list out, there were 2, not just video games, but video game series that stuck out to me.
Understandably.
2 series that just I couldn't pick from, so I had to make number 2 a tie. My number 2 picks are the Assassin's Creed games and the Arkham games. Now, the reason why I wasn't able to make I wasn't able to just tear myself and try to make one of them was the simple fact that both of these games tell a story, and both of these are good at the story they tell. Of course, the Batman, I'm a lifelong Batman fan. And they tell the story beautifully. Now, could they go into more detail? Yes. Could it be a little less silly-ish? I didn't see it as silly. A lot of people, some people did. But still, great games, great additions to the Batman family, and the Assassin's Creed games. I mean, just the idea behind the Assassin's Creed just blows my mind. Just to think about it, to take a man and bring him through to the lives of his ancestors who lived these great and glorious lives as assassins. It blows my mind to think of who came up with this. But both of these games had that effect on me, and I couldn't tear myself to make either or. So for number 2, I had to make it a draw, and that's my number 2.
And I actually understand where you're going with that by actually picking a series, because my number 2 actually is a series. It is the Gears series, and by Gears I mean Gears of War, as in Gears of War, Gears of War 2, and Gears of War 3. The reason this franchise hit out to me really well is because when I first bought an Xbox 360, which was around 06, around the first time it dropped, late November. The first game that most of you remember that really first dropped that was exclusive for the Xbox 360 was Gears of War. And I love the game for kind of the same reason that I love Red Dead, because for the Gears series, following Marcus Phoenix and his allies through their story of redemption, through their story of trials, through their story of heartbreak, it means a lot. And it's a lot more of a game than just hacking up monsters, because that's what most people see in the trailers. That's what most people see in a lot of other reviews. But to me, I love the game for the story, because as you play the games more and more, you become more attached to Marcus and Dom and Cole and Baird, and as you rediscover their lives with them, because let's be honest, as you play the games, you'll see that these guys have been fighting for so long that they've forgotten what it was like to be themselves. So they forgot what it was like to have a former life. And when they reconnect with that, and you see them reconnect with that, and you feel that just means a lot. And I mean, I'm not gonna ruin any of the game for any of you who have not played any of the series yet, but my favorite part of that trilogy would be 3, because in 3 you actually see this band of brothers suffer a loss. You see this band of brothers suffer, and you see how they have to continue this journey without that key element with them. And you want to finish the story, not just for the sake of beating the game, but for them. And that's why this game means a lot to me, and that's why I love the Gears trilogy. And I guess someone leaves number 1 now, right?
And I'm kind of nervous to see what you picked.
Well, the game I picked means a lot to me because this game basically set the standard for what gaming would become. I mean, without this game, I don't know where gaming would be.
That kind of sounds like mine, because it may not have been the first ever video game, but it has been the one that has stood the test of time. It has been the one that, it doesn't matter if you have never played a video game in your life, you know this game exists.
Whoa.
We didn't know.
Alright, wait. I'm counting through. 1, 2, 3.
Super Mario Brothers.
Did we just put the same game in?
I think we did.
This is kind of strange.
I know. I mean, we went into this thing pretty much blind to what the other one was going to pick, but actually, this is wow.
Good game, sir.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
That's
I
actually pretty cool.
guess number 1 can be a joint.
Number 1 will be a joint in the Super Mario 3 not Super Mario Sunshine.
We're talking about Super Mario Brothers.
The first, the one that started it. Now, I know that Mario didn't debut in Super Mario Brothers. He actually debuted in
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong. But the game that shot him into superstardom was the original game for Nintendo Entertainment System and the very first video game I ever played.
Man, I can remember sitting in my aunt's living room because she had a Nintendo Entertainment System, and it had Super Mario. And, you know, back at the time they had the joint thing with Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
And me and my cousins, we could never get enough of just playing that game.
Yeah.
It just brings back good memories.
And to me, it was funny because it was like it was a rarity to see Duck Hunt and Super Mario by themselves. I mean, yeah, they existed.
Yeah.
But you never really
saw them
saw
as
them.
separate games.
And I have, but the one I had was the joint one like you had.
Yeah.
And it brought me several hours. If my parents wanted me to shut up when I was 5 years old, they set me in front of the TV and put a controller into my hand and like, here, play this while we go do productive stuff. Get out of our hair for a little bit. But Super Mario Brothers, it was one of the and there's a tradition that goes around that the youngest was always Luigi. And that wasn't the case in my household, because I'm the oldest of two. And when me and my little sister would play, I'd let her be Mario, and I'd be Luigi. Just simply because my favorite color is green, and I loved, I don't know what it was about Luigi that drew me to him. Not Luigi's Mansion Luigi. I'm talking about Luigi, you knew nothing about him, Luigi.
You just knew he was the other one.
Yeah. This was also during the days when you didn't really know much of Mario's backstory. I mean, I think Nintendo had him living in New York,
yeah, he was
or something like that.
Brooklyn, I think.
This was before he became "It's me, Mario." It was before he became Italian.
Because that didn't really happen until Nintendo 64, Super Mario 64.
Super Mario 64 was when he got the accent, and this was, and of course, way before the pile of anus known as Super Mario Brothers the movie, and we'll cover that later. But I digress.
But yeah, I guess you got anything more to add to that? Or?
Other than the fact it's gonna be a game that stands the test of time.
I mean, it's proven that already. What's it now? What?
I think they just released Super Mario 45 and a half.
Yeah. I mean, this game it means a lot to us. Probably just as much as it means a lot to a lot of you out there. I mean, this game is reminiscent in a lot of childhoods. It's brought a lot of good memories back, and a lot of bad memories when you had to die and start over.
I know, right?
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the games we're most thankful for, I think this is one of the ones, because without this game, I don't think gaming would ever be the same. I mean, it's the same as what Ganondorf was talking about earlier with him being a huge wrestling fan. Same with the Hulk Hogan Andre Giant match. If that match never happened, what would wrestling be? And that's what I feel that
it would probably be what it is now, and crap.
Yeah.
But and that's no offense to any of the wrestling fans. That's just my personal opinion.
And that's what I think Super Mario really is. I think it's that be all end all. It's the thing that sets the mark. And still to this day, it sets the mark for games. I mean, even with all the next gen consoles and all the realistic graphics, I think every game designer or every entertainment company out there is gonna pay homage to Super Mario.
Yeah.
Because I bet you this, there is no person on any design team that did not play that game when they were younger.
Yeah. And if they didn't, they're lying.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, that's pretty much our top 5 list.
So,
now we need to talk about our future shows.
Oh yes. Speaking of that, a lot of you have probably been, wondering, are we just gonna do video games? No, we're actually hoping to branch out into other things, all entertainment, not just video games, comic books, movies, TV shows. I mean, we can go for days, guys. I
Yeah,
mean,
we really
it's whatever. It's open. It's completely open. I mean, are we gonna do top 10 Barbra Streisand songs that don't make us vomit? I guess not. Oh God, it's getting everywhere. God, I guess since he's incapacitated, I'll just finish up. Hit us up with any of your
Oh God.
I guess comments. Oh God, I guess comments, opinions. Really, whatever you guys feel that will be good for us to do. Because, like I've said before, this is a page made for gamers by gamers, and oh man, oh God, we're gonna have ants. Yeah, man. I mean, we love you guys. Thank you. I guess I'm Giga Bowser, and this is Ganondorf, and
Game on.
Barbra Streisand.
I hate you.